Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International Innovation Management 2. Now it's about time to present your innovation. This is what this installment is about. So the learning goals are pretty easy. After it, you know all about reasons for writing a business plan, a plan that identifies the business of your innovation, know the content of different types of business plans. You can basically use something that is called the business model canvas. We're not touching upon this. I guess you can have learned this already with the entrepreneurship courses of Andreas Kuckertz, or I suggest that you look it up in the literature. And of course, you will see opportunities in writing a business plan. So let's get started. The traditional business plan. So traditional sounds a little bit, dusty, etc. But there's reasons for a conventional business plan. First reason is clarity. A business plan forces you to think clearly about what you're doing. It doesn't always pay to have your idea only in your brain, only in your head. You really get clarity once you talk about it first, and you get clarity once you write it down. You write down about your innovation, you write down what it does, how you go about it, etc. A deeper understanding of your market is also reason for writing a business plan. So a business plan or working on a business plan forces you to get information about the market. So it basically forces you to do the analysis that makes sure that you're not investing in a wrong project. So you obtain a better understanding of the market, because without a market there won't be a viable innovation. That much we've learned in the previous 2 semesters. And a business plan can help you to stay organized, stay on track, because it gives you a structure. Whether you go for a traditional business plan or an investor pitch, it doesn't really matter. It helps you to stay on track. Without a plan, you can easily get off the target. So you get distracted by the intricacies of going about your innovation, etc. And it confirms your arithmetic, so whether you calculated it correctly. So a business plan forces to write down the economic situation and your planning. What are you charging? What are your costs? What is the margin, etc.? What's the profits that you're going to make? Or if it's a non-profit innovation, then are you going to sustain your innovation, the organization, without making a profit? Where's the financial resources, and how much of the financial resources do you actually need? So the business plan will confirm that your idea, or if your idea, will be economically feasible. And it helps you, a business plan helps you to get problems straight. The business plan forces you to think your innovation or your business connected to the innovation through. So it forces you to start thinking about how to make money from the innovation, how to make enough money to sustain the business, etc. So it forces you to think about the problems, and it helps you to question the validity not only of your ideas, sometimes also of your assumptions. So you're going to face problems, and the business plan forces you to get these problems straight. And it fosters alignment. The business plan helps you to align different people in the innovation team. So once you have a plan, you can basically say, okay, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to, what we want to do in the next month or 2, etc. So this aligns the approach of different people in your team. That is very, very helpful. And of course, it holds you accountable. It articulates what you're up to, and the business plan forces you to think strategically and well into the future. So you can always come back and say, okay, this is how I thought it will be. Why didn't it go that way, etc. And it forces you to think into the future. Again, that is very helpful, because innovation is basically an activity that is targeted towards the future. So you need to think about the future. And your message. in an idea pitch without a business plan, you might find it hard to explain your ideas. So whenever you have to talk about your innovation, whenever you have to present your innovation, it's handy that you have already written down what your innovation is about. So having a written business plan really, really helps you. Regardless of what format the business plan actually is, as I said, whether traditional investor pitch or more this canvas type of business plan, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have written it down, if you put your pen to paper in a literal sense, it helps you in presenting what you're up to. And it helps you to establish a set of benchmarks. Once your targets are not met, you may want to change your ideas. So it establishes something that you want to achieve, and once you're not able to achieve that, it helps you to identify that this is really that you're running into a problem. And so it constantly reminds you of what you're actually wanting to achieve, and it sets, so to say, warning lights if you're not achieving these benchmarks that you set for yourself. Now let's have a look at the structure of a business plan. Of course, typically it contains, and a traditional business plan here, it contains something like a title page, a table of contents, an executive summary, very important, and the body of the plan consists of description of the innovation or the company, if you're starting up a company. You analyze the industry, provide a summary. You analyze the market, provide a summary. You have a production operations plan, and you think about the team. And of course, you talk about financial risks and the plan. And the business plan is typically not that thick, but it can contain a lot of appendices, etc. Okay, now let's go. Executive summary. Executive summary is very important because it provides a short overview of the entire business plan. So it helps the reader to get everything he or she wants to know about the new idea, and it is very distinctive. It's very short and very precise. Not a lot of prose, not a lot of text, but very precise, very concise. As I said, executive summaries should be short, never more than 2 pages, single-spaced, reasonably sized font, etc. So very important that you keep it short. And an executive summary, if you go for a pitch, it's basically not more information that you yourself will need to pitch the idea, what is in the executive summary. So basically, it seems sometimes that the overall business plan is sort of an appendix to the executive summary. If you want to think it that way, well, be my guest. Description of the company or of the innovation. So that's the main business plan. The company description. Where does that? What's the company? What is its history? What is the mission? What is the strategy and the mission? Very important that you find a match between the innovation and the mission and the strategy of the firm. What are its products and services, current status, legal status, ownership, key partnerships? So if you go for external funding for your innovation, funding bodies may want to know who they are basically investing with. And so this is what you describe here. The more fundamental your innovation, the more radical your innovation, the more the deeper your description of the company history will actually be. So you of course analyze the industry. You describe the industry. So think about long-term prospects. Porter's 5 forces, good way to structure industry. So you look at growth rates, projections, industry structure, degree of competition, the idea of how threatened the industry is by entrepreneurs, by entrants, etc. So the 5 forces type of idea give you a good idea of the industry in which your innovation is located. And of course, you do a market analysis. So the market analysis breaks down the industry into segment and focuses on a specific segment target market, which is interesting for the business or the innovation. So you might want to include a market segmentation analysis, target market selection, why you target this market and not the other. If you get information on buyer behavior, competitor analysis, that's really important to get information into the market analysis, because you want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a very attractive market that you're entering with your innovation. And a marketing plan focuses you on how the innovation will be marketed and how the company will sell its new innovation, its new product, its new service, etc. So overall, what you do is you provide a marketing strategy. You provide information about the product, the price, the promotion, about the distribution. So having had probably a lot of marketing lectures and marketing courses, you probably already know how a marketing plan looks like. And of course, team is very important. If you talk to investors and if you talk to decision makers, team is really crucial for innovation. Always think of that. Most investors have the attitude that it is better to fund an A team with a C idea than a C team with an A idea. So a great team can make something out of a mediocre idea. But even if you have a great idea and a mediocre team, that will not do the trick. So pay attention to the team. Collect the best possible team that you can potentially get. And then, of course, in the business plan, you provide information to the reader to give him or her a good impression of the team. So go into their background, into their education, into their expertise, and write down what their role is in the project, what their role is in bringing this innovation to life. That is really, really crucial. Then, of course, you need an operations plan. You outline how the business runs and how the innovation will be brought to life and how this innovation will be produced. So it includes the facilities, the equipment, the location. Where do you want to produce this innovation? Do you want to produce this innovation in the headquarter location or at some subsidiaries? If yes, in what subsidiaries? Why are they specifically why is it specifically beneficial to do it there, not in other locations? What facilities do you need? What equipment do you need, etc.? And depending on the industry you're in, well, you know that there's heavy investment required to set up facilities, equipment for new innovations. Just think about the automotive industry and the investments that, for instance, Volkswagen had to cope with to bring about their new electric powered vehicles. So operations plans can be really crucial for the success of your innovation. And of course, then you talk about product or service design. What is the current status? What are the tasks that lay ahead of you? What are the challenges and the risks? Very important. Do not only talk about all the good and shiny things, but also talk about the dark side of the medal, also about the challenges and the risks. And of course, lay out what the intellectual property situation is. Do you have patents? Do you have trademarks? Do you have design patents, etc.? For the technology, for the product. So that is very important. So overall, these and of course you can supplement this with a lot of material in the appendix. So if you have patents, patent protection, include the patent document in the appendix, etc. If you're a knowledge-based or high technology firm and your ideas comes out of a scientific development, maybe you have scientific facts that you want to put in the appendix, just to show that your ideas, that your product, that your innovation will be not only economically viable through the market analysis, but also technically viable. That's part of the business plan to show as well. So the traditional business plan is it's a kind of a McKinsey type of business plan, the structure that I showed you here. So there's a more modern business plan as well. It's sort of an investor pitch. So if you think about a new product and your innovation as an investment from the management team, so why should they invest in your product or in your idea rather than in any other idea? Well, then you might want to have something like an investor pitch. Looks a little bit different. Some ideas are basically the same. So the elements of an investor pitch contain description of the innovation, the target market, the business model, again, the team, intellectual property, marketing strategy, sales plan, financial projections, estimation of resources needed, because this is what you're pitching for. Okay, so the elements: description of the innovation, make clear that the reader, the audience, is familiar with your idea. What is it actually that you want to innovate? What is your innovation? What is your new product, your new service? What are the potential customers? It's always good to have that already. And what are the customers' needs? What problem do you really solve for the customers? So I think back to Clayton Christensen's idea of the job to be done. What job is it actually that your good or your service, your new good, your new service fulfills for the customer? What job is it? What problem does it actually solve? So this is a good hook for the investors. Target market. Of course, you should estimate the size and the size of the market. All sorts of indicators for the attractiveness of the market. Growth projections of the market. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it a permanent market, or is it just a fashion, a fad, etc.? All these kind of indicators are really helpful. And in terms of the business model, the question always is, how do you make money? How do you make money with this innovation? And if you talk about the business model, or if you're asked about the business model, people typically want to know this. How do you make money with the innovation? They do not ask you about all the components of the business model. Not all the components of the business model canvas that you will see in a minute, or that you already know. Okay, so if you're asked about the business model, how do you make money? The answer should be there. Team, again, expertise, experience, track record. It's always good, and I didn't say that before, if you can show that your team and the members of your team can deliver, so that they do not only have expertise and experience, but they can also deliver. And as I said, team features are said to be more important than product features. Comes here. Again, intellectual property, we're not doing that. Not in next week. There is no next week because we're done with the 10 installments. But intellectual property is important, and if you're interested, I can provide a reading for that. Marketing strategy. If you think, oh, my product is so great, it will find its customers, word of mouth will do, that's not a good marketing strategy if you only rely on that. You provide a plan for communication channels, how you distribute, what partnerships you're going to create to market your product. And of course, as we think of that as an investment pitch, always estimate the resources that we require for main elements of the marketing. So it's also always being able to say, how much do I need? How much money do I need for that? Projection. Okay, it's always good to provide a projection. Where are you going to be with that in 5 years? What's the 5-year projection of revenue expenses? Of course, it will not be correct, but do your best to provide that. And at the end of the day, if you think of presenting your innovation as an investment, the end of the day, or at the end of the presentation, the end of the pitch, you need to say, how much money do you need? How much do you need to bring this innovation to life? Don't be over pessimistic, don't be over optimistic. Try to be realistic. It doesn't make sense for you to overestimate your the resources that you need, but it doesn't pay to underestimate them. Because at the end of the day, you may not be, if you underestimate, you may not be able to pull this thing off with resources with the given resources once you underestimated it. So just a brief summary of what a presentation of an innovation could contain or should contain. As I said, you can also build a business model canvas. Use the business model canvas structure as an idea, as a structure for presenting your innovation. It contains a lot. It contains a lot about that helps people understand what your innovation is all about. It contains information about the customer segment, the relationships you with customers, about the channels, how to reach them. It contains the value proposition. Very important. So what problem do you solve for your customers? What are the key activities to bring that alive and to sustain the innovation? What are the key resources? What are the key partners that you need for building this innovation and then for producing or providing this information? What is your cost structure and what is the revenue streams? So again, in terms of the business model, so how to make money is the two boxes below. Okay, so you can also present your innovation by using the structure of this business model canvas. And if you want to present the value proposition, I think we have already mentioned in the course the value proposition canvas. It's very good for summarizing the insights about the customer problems. So what do you want to address with your innovation? And it provides a nice visual representation of the value proposition. So the value proposition canvas then can basically lead into the value proposition of the business model canvas. All right, so that was about 24 minutes of presenting your innovations, ideas, structures for presenting your innovations. And that was also the last installment of this summer term. I hope you really enjoyed the courses, and I hope you make the best out of the summer term, all the best for the exam period. And I hope you have fun and success when innovating. Bye-bye.